Poltergeist was written by David Lindsay Bear and Steven Spielberg and directed by Gil Kenan. It was produced by Sam Raimi, Roy Lee, and Robert Tappert. Gil Kenan is also going to be directing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It was released in May of 2015 by 20th Century Fox with a budget of $35 million. Sam Rockwell, Rosemary DeWitt, Jared Harris, and Jane Addams star. The film opens with the Bowen family heading to their new home in somewhere Illinois, a quiet suburb where nothing happens, and high-voltage power lines are everywhere. It looks like the typical house, wired for sound, and with a state-of-the-art security system.
Security system works. The owner was a bit of a...
Both are used exactly once and never mentioned again. We immediately find out that the father, Eric, was recently laid off from his job. His wife, Amy, is a stay-at-home mom who moonlights as a writer. They have a daughter, Kendra, a son, Griffin, and then their youngest daughter, Madison. Because the house isn't quite large enough for all of them, poor Griffin is forced to sleep in the attic bedroom. So here's the first cliché, or is it foreshadowing? The moving van backs up into the mailbox. Classic stuff. Strange things happen as soon as they start unpacking. Trees growl. The ground shoves branches back up through the soil, and the house is filled with static electricity. And if that ain't enough, the washing machine leaks black slime. I don't think OxyClean's gonna fix that one, Amy. One of the first things you'll notice is the damned orange-teal color scheme. It's been pretty common in movies now for the last 15 years, and it seems to be increasing in frequency. Time for a filmmaking lesson. Essentially, this color scheme is chosen because the colors orange and teal are on the opposite sides of the color wheel. This provides contrast and makes colors pop out against one another. The reason for this is that orange most closely resembles the human skin tone, and teal most closely resembles things like the sky. This is a good thing, and it can be used to great effect. As JonTron notes, Castlevania used this method to separate the cooler, blue background of Dracula's castle from the warmer orange foreground, and more importantly, Simon himself. This was partially an aesthetic choice, and also a result of the NES hardware limitations. Before digital color was a thing, color was something that had to be considered during the filmmaking and developing process. If you wanted to change the color in post-production, you had to have the colorist manually alter each and every frame of a movie. For a 90-minute feature, that would be nearly 130,000 frames! In the digital era, it's much easier, and it can be done in a variety of ways. If you shoot in a raw video format, for instance, you can do practically anything with the look of the film. There are numerous websites and videos that document this phenomenon. It's everywhere! Just look at all the fucking games and movies that have this color scheme. I'm looking at you, Michael Bay. Moral of the story. Color grading is a tool best used in moderation. Anyway, back to the film. We find out that little Maddie can talk to the spirits in the house, and that they're more than a little restless.
The lost people? Who are the lost people?
They live here, but they don't like it. They want to go to their home.
These lost people can do things like levitate toy cars. The kids are put to bed, and the parents enjoy some meaningless exposition in the bedroom.
Do you think we should take him to a shrink?
No. He's fine.
Okay, this is a cool scene. The kid pulls what looks like a ball on a string, and some shit falls down. But then, that little red ball starts sliding up into the nose of a fucking psycho-looking clown! Back to the parents. Looks like Amy and Eric want to make a new kid from the looks of it. Amy's pretty hot for her age. Not too bad. And then at the most inopportune moment, Griffin bursts in.
What's up, buddy?
Eric goes to help Griffin calm down, and they discover a squirrel, of all things. But what's worse, Eric's been possessed!
We have a squirrel.
The disturbances continue once everyone's asleep. Lights flicker, and the electronic keyboard freaks the fuck out like it's possessed. Cool effect, though. And if that ain't bad enough, the TV looks like it's having a fucking seizure. How the adults sleep through this is beyond me. But hey, plot. That static is some gnarly stuff. Alright, this is a great shot. I love how the hands press against the glass. It's as if they're actually there in the room. It's a fantastic effect.
Maddie! Get away from the TV!
What's going on?
They're here.
Maddie's "They're Here" is wonderfully muted compared to Carol Ann's from the original. Kennedy is an adorable kid, and really captures the innocence of Madison's character. It pays homage to Carol Ann while also creating a new take on the archetype.
That's bullshit.
The next day is filled with small but meaningful events. Griffin finds a vertebra in the yard and experiences the most unusual stacking of comic books since 1984. And Eric buys a plot device in the form of a small drone. That night, Amy and Eric go out to dinner, leaving Kendra alone with the kids. Not all is well, as exposition creeps in to reveal the town's dirty little secret.
We'd never visit him because of the cemetery thing. The thought of it just gave me the willies.
What cemetery thing?
Just that development was built on a former cemetery.
But they moved it, though.
Yeah. The developers relocated the whole thing to Broxton Park. 200 acres, but this was years ago.
Back at the house, the spirits make their presence known by infecting Kendra's new phone with static and weird, glitchy images. Strange sounds prompt her to investigate the garage, where the floor tile cracks open. The black shit from Evil Dead reaches up to grab her and attempts to pull her into the thick morass. Griffin's spooked and attacked by possessed demonic clowns, running back and forth like the fucking animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. Where's Markiplier when you fucking need him? The trees come alive, and the whole house seems to be trying to kill the children, breaking through the windows and grabbing poor Griffin. But he's a kid. He'll be fine. Probably. Madison is lured into the closet, where she vanishes into the lens flare from hell. I think she needs an adult. Where's Chris Hansen? Amy and Eric return to find Kendra and Griffin, but poor Maddie is lost and missing.
I can't. What did you say?
I can't find Maddie!
Her ghostly voice and visage filters through the static of the television, hinting at her current fate. So, who are you gonna call? Good luck tracking down Bill Murray. He's harder to catch than the Higgs boson. Their answer lies in the university's Department of Paranormal Research, led by Dr. Brooke Powell. She agrees to help out and brings her graduate students to set up shop in the house.
Can you do that?
I could try.
Apparently, the paranormal is a thing here, and not just a way to get a cozy, low-risk job. Here's one funny thing. Nerdy McNerdpants prattles on about time-lapse photography, only to get his ass handed to him by the chair whipping out from under him.
Did you get all that on your time-lapse camera?
Now they know the ghosts aren't fucking around. Doubly so when they scare the shit out of Boyd. He doesn't bring it up, so this doesn't really amount to much.
Yeah?
The heat sensor's in the closet?
Sort of.
Wait, I really need you to take this more seriously, okay? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, good.
Remember in the original when the investigator's face melted? They kinda do that here with Eric. But it's far tamer and you only get a glimpse of it through the reflection of the faucet. That's my biggest issue with the film scares. They're so tame compared to the original. Now I know I said I wasn't going to start comparing them side by side, but it's important. Part of what made the original a classic is that the scares and frights were, well, frightening. The practical effects paid off, and sold the illusion of terror that we all crave from this genre. Why is the remake so tame in comparison? It begins with the rating. The original was initially rated R, but was ultimately knocked down to PG after the filmmakers argued with the MPAA. The PG-13 rating wouldn't exist until 2 years later, in 1984. As it was, Red Dawn was the first film to claim the rating. But why not just go with an R rating from the start? The answer, of course, is money. PG-13 movies are open to a much wider audience, and therefore open to earning more money at the box office. By slapping that red R in a film, you're restricting it from a large chunk of the movie-going population, namely those with young teen children. For the profit-minded producer, this is no good. Plus, it gives the directors a reason to have a special director's cut later on, if they bothered to keep any of the juicy stuff. Ultimately, it shows a lack of faith in the director and in the concept as a whole. The Evil Dead remake embraced the R rating and still raked in over $97 million, with a budget of only $17 million. Poltergeist, by comparison, earned $95 million with a budget of $35 million. It cost twice as much to make and ended up bringing in less than The Evil Dead. Granted, Evil Dead has had a few years to incubate, but you get the idea. My hunch may be incorrect, but an R rating does not necessarily mean a lower return. Back to the movie. Grad student Lauren presents her hypothesis. Madison has been brought into a world unlike her own, separated, and the closet is the gateway.
Somehow Maddie got pulled here.
Here or not here at the same time.
Exactly.
Their plan? Go into the gateway and bring Maddie back from the other side.
That's actually not a bad idea.
The ghosts, though, have other plans for the young girl and aren't about to let Eric just waltz on in. Time to call in the true expert, Kerrigan Burke, a grizzled, scarred ghost hunter with a proven track record for pacifying the wrathful dead. He's no Zelda Rubinstein, and that's A-OK. He feels like he's more suited to the world of Exorcist, and actor Jared Harris brings his considerable acting experience to make the character unique, confident, and down-to-earth. After seeing numerous fake psychics portrayed in movies, Burke is just a plain badass in comparison. There's no way they could have recreated Rubinstein's character from the original, so why bother? Instead, they created the new character to fit the role.
Safe, stable academia. Still misses me, though.
No, I don't.
You do, a little.
No, not even a little bit.
She forgets I can sense these things. I have special powers, you know.
You're not that special.
After preparing the house, they attempt to send Griffin's repurposed drone into the other side. Burke's first attempt fails, and he reluctantly hands the controls over to Griffin. It's a nice way to bring in modern elements, and a clever idea by the writers. I'd say it's one of the aspects that pleased me most about the remake. The other side is a strange, twisted world, filled with the writhing bodies of the dead and flickering, flashing lights. It's almost as if they're in someone's nervous system, or in some thick, watery grave. I only wish they spent more time exploring the other side, but I suppose the effect budget was limited. The ghosts up the ante and force Burke to take action, but he's too slow, as Griffin has somehow managed to teleport upstairs and races into the gateway to rescue Maddie. I love how the colors are shifted, warped, and ultimately unsaturated. There seems to be an untold number of spirits inside this world, all reaching and writhing for the living. Griffin finds Maddie and they race to escape, but it looks like they didn't make it. Is it too late? Did the experience drain the life from them? You all know the story has to have a happy ending. It's PG-13 for fuck's sake. They change and pack up, but there's still 10 minutes left before the credits. You know what this means.
Are we ever coming back?
No, sweetie. There's no way in hell.
Before then, we get the second iconic line of the series.
It's for Lauren.
Bert, give her the line.
The house is clean.
Better, come on.
The house is clean.
Oh my god, she's seen a freak.
Only then do we find out that the ghosts have not gone away, and are, in fact, more pissed off than before.
But they didn't.
Dad,
Dad, go, Daddy, go into the light, Mommy. They needed me to take them, but I wouldn't go in, so neither did they.
The irony is astounding. The whole house attempts to suck them into the void, and has no intent on letting them leave alive. With the vengeful spirits emerging from the gateway to drag Madison into the void, Burke takes it upon himself to lead the souls into the light, one way or the other. The family escapes before the ground can swallow them whole, and leaves the house in Dr. Powell's car, never to return. Good luck explaining that to the insurance adjuster. Well, that's the end of it. So, what did I think? To be honest, I actually really liked Poltergeist in its entirety, even when comparing it to the original 1982 film. It contains some rather clever elements and additions that weren't possible in the original, like the flare system, the drone, and computer systems. It's familiar, yet new, and is far from boring. The storyline is classic, and while it borrows heavily from the original material, the remake is fun and entertaining.
Screw it, Boyd.
It's hampered by the restrictive PG-13 rating, and this serves to tame what could have been some truly great scares. The exposition could have been handled better, but we all know what the movie's about going into it. The effects, however, are fantastic to watch, even if they were designed with the 3D gimmick in mind. While this doesn't necessarily translate well into a typical 2D showing, that's okay. It sold the illusion. If the producers had more faith in the product and director, I feel that the film would have seen more creativity than what we ultimately received. I've seen many negative reviews of the film, focusing on the fact that this is a remake. Paraphrasing the nostalgia critic, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Each director has a unique vision for their work, and retelling a story is one way of exploring that aspect. It's their way of paying homage to the original director and material while presenting their own ideas and vision. Sometimes it's done well, and other times it's an awful piece of crap. Hell, eventually I want to remake Plan 9 from Outer Space. It can't be any worse than Ed Wood's original. Stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll see you later.
Does someone want to tell me the right one?